I'm Gerard Whateley, here's Mark Robinson. This Wednesday night, it's footy from all angles. Hello, Robbo.
Hello, Gerard. More ruckman.
Sam Jacobs, Todd Goldstein, Max Gawn.
Who, if they were lining up against the wall, who would you choose first?
Right now?
Yeah.
Max is standing there. I'm taking Max.
No, I'd take Todd Goldstein.
Yep.
He's coming, Max, but I still think Todd Goldstein's number one.
They put on a steering duel together, so there's no coincidence in the rise. King, McClure and Bomber as well. So let's get in. A Wednesday love. Rich pickings here.
I love GWS.
Yep.
Which is a strong word, love, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I like him. I like him.
A lot.
Really love how Stevie Johnson's playing.
Mm-hmm.
But I continue to go back to a person who I think is the best ground ball small defender. He's not even small. This guy can play tall, and that is Heath Shaw.
No, you're loyal with your love.
Oh, I know. Rory Sloane, Joel Selwood, Heath Shaw. I watched him again on the weekend. He is playing as good a football as he's playing in his career. He's so confident. He just takes on the game. He seems to make the right decision 90% of the time, which is good enough. You will take that. I hope that's not a turnover, thank God. he's just at the top of his game, and I said on Saturday to Nick Maxwell, I'm still staggered why he's not at Collingwood. I really am.
Yep.
And he said he needed to go and the club needed to move on without him. You know, Collingwood is so-so, and this guy has taken his career to another level.
We do try to keep you happy from time to time, Robbo. Heath Shaw will be with us tomorrow night.
He's going to be in the studio with us.
No, I think you'll be in Sydney.
Well, that's not the same. Man, I can ring him myself. I can ring him myself and talk to him. We really got him on, haven't we?
I can do for you.
We got him on. Isn't that good? I did not know that.
The Hawks.
Who do you love?
We all love first gamers. And two more disparate debutants. You will not get them what is going to happen this weekend. So the story of Aliyah, who will play his first game for the Sydney Swans. He's born in Kenya, in a Kenyan refugee camp to Sudanese parents who'd fled the civil war. He migrated to Australia as a child and settled in Queensland where there was family, and then moved for family and football reasons to Western Australia. He went picked 44 in the 2013 draft and has toiled away in the NEFL perfecting his trade, and now with Ted Richards unavailable, he gets to go and play key back for the Swans. And you contrast that with Christian Petracca, who is the archetypal modern draftee, a household name before he was even taken at pick 2 by Melbourne. Such high hopes. He gets cruelled by a knee injury and has to bide his time. And then the club held him back, and he is going to be let loose. And Paul Roos, who we know has just a touch of the theatrics about him, he's shown that from time to time. He called Christian Petracca in today.
Oh, just getting a bit frustrating for you, that's all. Yeah. I mean, it's been a big year with your Rico and foot and all that sort of stuff. So, mate, I just want to keep you informed and let you know. I mean, obviously, the way you've been playing is the way we want you to play.
Yep.
I mean, the team's in good form.
Yep.
So it's hard to find a spot for you at the moment.
Okay.
But we've found one for you.
Thank you very much. Oh my God.
Good on you, mate. No, it's
Thank
good.
you.
I mean, you've had to work for it, but it's been really important.
Yep.
Really important.
That's a good exchange.
Yeah, he is a bit dramatic, Paul. Can I just say one thing before we move on? The story, is it Aliyah?
Aliyah.
The story of Aliyah is a greater story than Mason Cox.
Mm-hmm.
The struggle that he had to go through to play AFL football is far greater than, you know, Mason, who played sport and was at in Texas. It's a completely different. This is a great story.
Yep. And if
of the AFL.
The Australian game is truly going to reflect the country as it is, then it takes another step on the weekend.
Absolutely.
Okay, the top of the agenda is the key signing at Essendon. While the most emotion surrounds Joe Watson, the most importance always surrounded the signature of Cale Hooker. And frankly, it was always going to be the most difficult to get. That was the view held externally, but internally at the Bombers as well. Matters progressed yesterday, and the world learnt when Robbo posted this story at heraldsun.com.au at 10:30 this morning. That Cale Hooker has committed to 5 years at Essendon, a $4 million deal, and knocked back every man and his dog to do so.
There's a lot of men and a lot of dogs, Gerard. Certainly know of 5 clubs: North Melbourne, Collingwood, We all know about Fremantle and Hawthorn were up to their ears as well. I spoke to him this afternoon. I went and had I don't drink coffee, but he had a coffee. I went and had a cafe with him and sat down and there's only... Journalism's not hard. Why?
Yes, it's the key question.
Why? And then it began, and what I learned listening to Carl Hooker is 27, 28.
So that's the back page of tomorrow's Herald Sun.
Yeah, it is. He spoke about the offers. He goes, I got some really big offers. And he said he decided that in his heart he wanted to make this football club great again. And he said, I'm not a person to cut and run. I want to stay. I want to help. And I know this is a bit sentimental and romantic, but I like that about football, Jared. He said, when I have children, I want my children to be able to go to the football club and be very proud of that football club. So that was the overwhelming reason why he stayed. He said he only decided this week. He's going away next Wednesday to America for, I think, 4 or 5 weeks for a holiday. But he goes, even this is him talking, my re-signing, I don't know what impact that's going to have on the others. I hope they look at that and say, hey, let's follow Cale. But he says they've got to make the decision for themselves.
Yep.
He said, I come to the conclusion that my best place for me was at the Essendon Football Club. And he spoke to other clubs. Fremantle, he confirmed to me that Ross rang him. Ross said it today. Really tough decisions. He made several phone calls last night to rival clubs and made several text messages.
So 3 months ago, the conventional wisdom was that he was the one Essendon wouldn't be able to retain under any circumstances because so much was going on elsewhere. And that probably changed about 2 weeks ago when you wrote the piece where you could actually line up what it is against what is it elsewhere. And it's about... He's taking about $1 million less.
It's $1 million less. Now, I wrote that story, Jared, to sort of start giving an inkling that he's going to stay, and I mean that. The intro was he's going to forego $1 million to stay. So I started getting a feeling. I nearly went with the story last night on the program. I didn't have enough information. I made some calls and text messages last night. They were ignored, so you're getting warmer. And then up at early this morning. What's early?
Oh, 6.
No, it wasn't that early.
About 8.
8. That was early. So I was up about 8. Calls were made, confirmation, and away we went. So that's how it turned out. And then suddenly throughout the day, Jared, it's all about, right, the rest.
Yes.
Where does that leave everyone else?
Just before we leave everything else, is from Essendon's perspective, and this is a bona fide coup, but just in your opinion, why is Hooker's signature better than pick 2 next year?
Because Essendon don't believe what is being said in the media saying by commentators, and Kingy was one. He put it up here a couple of weeks ago. Let's gut this list. Why they're on their knees? Let's gut it, and then let's get in all these draft picks and let's start again, which conventionally might be a 5, 6, 7 year rebuild. Sam Landsberger, one of our list experts at the Herald Sun, has put together a combined team for next year with what we're seeing this year, including the number 1 draft pick, or maybe number 2 draft pick, wherever Essendon finishes, which is going to be one of the best midfielders in the team, in the comp. So they believe that they've got a pretty powerful team ready to be assembled next year. So they're not going to gut it. They're actually going to say, righto, we're going to give everyone the opportunity because we're confident and we reckon you deserve it, and let's go out there and give it the best we've got. And truly, I know we talk about we've got to use the draft and we've got to use the trades and we've got to have our list management build. The sport's about winning, right? Now, how you build to winning is what everyone's talking about. They've already built. They're already built. They're adding to that group right now, and that's why Carl Hooker was a crucial signing. He's a 5-year key forward, key defender.
Yep. And it seems that this breaks the nexus between, if there's a standoff between compensation and recommitment, because managers, lawyers, everyone wants the leverage where they can find it. I reckon this snaps that, as Hooker has been able to divorce the two.
I asked him about that. Everyone's going to say, oh, you signed a 5-year deal and you're not going to get any compensation. He goes, no, it's a completely separate entity. And as I've been saying to you, Jared, and I mean this, Essendon and the players are treating it as a separate entity. They want to play for the club, but Essendon knows they've got to pay compensation. They've just got to work out how much. So Carl Hooker was able to separate them. There's his deal, and he will get compensation. Now, that compensation will maybe less than what others are getting because loss of earnings and stuff. He's just signed a 5-year deal worth around about $750,000. So that'll all come into the calculations, but they can be mutually exclusive.
The two coaches who ended up central to it were Ross Lyon and Fremantle, and John Worsfold, the Essendon coach.
Yeah, it's great news. Strong reflection on Cale's personal character, and loyalty, but also obviously a strong reflection on his belief in the club and where we are aiming to get ourselves back to.
Well, to be truthful, he was respectful and rang last night and said he wanted to talk to me even before he spoke to his mum. So we've got a really strong relationship. And does it surprise me? No, because he's very loyal to his football club. He had a number of Melbourne clubs. So wish him all the best. Really good person.
It was very clear that we wanted him to be at the footy club. As we've said, we love to have all 12 back at the footy club next year. But again, that's all for individuals to make their call. But Cale's an elite player in the competition, and he's the reigning Crichton medalist at Essendon. So, and he's a champion bloke. So, pretty good value to have around.
We'll ask Bomber about Hooker, and we'll ask Kingy about, is that collective good enough to challenge top 4 straight away if they all do come back? So we're both of the belief that Dyson Heppell will absolutely recommit to Essendon, and it's just his timing as to when that happens. Michael Hurley?
Absolutely will recommit to Essendon.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Just the financials to be worked through.
Of all of them left, there's Ben Hallett. Tate Pears might retire. Ben Hallett hasn't been spoken about much. Collier's signed. Belchambers indicated he's going to be there. You mentioned Heppell. Heath Hocking was the first one. You know, David Myers, they're really keen on still retaining. They're keen on everyone. But there's one massive name that Essendon believe that he will come back, but they don't know.
And that's Joe Watson.
And that's Joe Watson, the skipper.
Is Watson close to Hooker?
Yeah, they're all really close.
Yep.
I mean, they all play footy together. I know there's different levels of friendship, but when you're in an AFL club like this, I mean, Hooksy's a pretty popular guy, and Joe's the captain. I mean, yeah, they were really tight. Will Joe Watson make his decision on Hooker's decision? He's pretty much his own man, Joe. He'll decide while he's away what he wants to do. And if he comes back, I would think that Essendon are going to probably get 11 of the 12. Maybe Pears might retire.
Okay. The rest of the agenda, well, the obsession of the week has been fixated on Fremantle and what the journey here looks like for Ross Lyon, what the steps are in the short, the medium and the long term for a club that is 0-5 after a major fall from grace.
Could we say that you're in a rebuilding phase? Is that how you describe where the club's at now, or is it not that?
Yeah, I think to be fair to me, I don't think I've ever written your headlines. So I don't propose to write them now. I think I've never taken editorial control, and to be frank, I don't read too many of them.
There'll be a lot of soul searching for the Fremantle Dockers, exactly what they do with the rest of this season. 0-5.
All I've ever coached with is huge expectation. I like that. It's a high demand, high accountability business. I think with my background, 3 grand finals, prelims, 10 years as assistant, VFL coach, 10 years playing, worked under great coaches, I think I've maybe got some capacity to maybe develop this club and this team. I certainly back myself in, but you know what, we all get judged.
So he is talking about developing the club.
Well, he has to.
Yeah, and he's in for the long. He's the first one in, and this was all arranged before the season started to the end of 2020.
He'll enjoy it, and we'll enjoy it, because, you know, the accusation, whether you agree with it or not, is he picked up a pretty good team at Fremantle, at St Kilda, and turned him into a real powerhouse. Picked up a pretty good team at Fremantle, turned him into a pretty good powerhouse without winning the flag, and now he's going to have to build a pretty good team and then turn him into a powerhouse. I mean, so he's got the full thing here. I'm looking forward to seeing what Rossi can do. He can still coach.
There's no question about that. It just has to be applied in a different way.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's the same thing. You know, I was talking to King and McClure upstairs about this, Jared, and I'll maybe we get an opportunity to talk to him about when they come on. Very rarely do coaches get 2 opportunities to build. Usually it's you build, fail, players hate you, get out. Might be we're seeing a new trend here. Actually, you come in, you built, we didn't win, now we're going down. Actually, hang around, can you? We'd like to see you build us up again. I think that's good management.
There is a phrase in football which has been used too often, particularly last year, injury-riddled Gold Coast Suns, and that is their lot again after the news of today is Dean Prestia won't make the trip to Geelong, so he joins David Swallow, Jager O'Meara, Stephen May, Adam Sard, Rory Thompson is unavailable. But the worst news surrounds Michael Riscatelli, who there are scans pending there and results to come tomorrow, but the sublux of the shoulder, which happened in this incident, and he played on, is... It is now being suggested that the worst result here is that his season is over.
That's staggering. At the time,
there'll be gradients to get there, but that's what is being mooted tonight.
That is so unlucky. He's a tough bugger. I mean, Michael Riscatelli in the last 18 months has become a real leader and stand-up player. You know, he says we're in trouble. He's been fantastic. When I saw that on the weekend, I thought, God, I'm surprised he didn't break his shoulder. And the second thing I thought is, why didn't someone come in and really give it to Andrew Swallow? Because I thought it was a bit aggressive. Now, you can be aggressive, that's fine, but you can't expect to be aggressive without any retribution. I thought that was a bit reckless, a bit hard. Not reckless, it was hard football. And if Riscatelli's out on top of those names, Rocket, who was 3 and zip and had a lot of momentum, Rocket's going to earn his money this year again. It's like almost we've got to play the kids again.
It's the long haul again, isn't it?
We can't have, no one likes long hauls, Stuart.
No.
They've got to get...
Not when you feel like you've built things up to get a reasonable crack at it.
The beauty of that, so Rocket's first year was troublesome.
Yep.
This year's looming as troublesome. He's got one more year after that. I mean, he's actually entitled to turn around to the Gold Coast and say, you know what, I have not had a run at this at all. Give me an opportunity to really develop and bring this list forward.
So I guess we cross our
Contract
fingers for Michael Riscatelli and hope for better than the worst news. Nilbin, they're on the brink of, well, they're having a crack at 3 straight wins, so there are a few demons that have been slayed. First, the win at Etihad Stadium late last year, then knocking off 2 in a row, and a lot of it is due to the work of one Big Maxi.
He wants to be the best ruckman in the competition. He can do it, no problems at all.
He right now is challenging the likes of Todd Goldstein as the best ruckman in the competition.
Maxi! Big Maxi is having a night out! Just impossible not to love the Max Gawn story, isn't it?
It does take time and sort of force his way into the team. He's obviously playing some terrific footy.
His ruck work's been outstanding. Oh, God. Stylish stuff.
They're good hands. I think he's just built it off the back of last year and off the back of the pre-season, but he's become a very good player.
It's just impossible not to love.
It's exciting. He's got a real bit of X factor about him.
He has been one of the most exciting elements of the year so far. Max Gawn, welcome to AFL 360.
Thanks for having me.
Go, Max.
How's this happened? How's it happened for you now? 6th season, 44 games, and you suddenly look like one of the best in the comp.
Two knee recos real early on. That sort of set me back a little bit.
How early on?
One when I was 17 getting drafted, and one when I was at the club at 20.
2012, that second year.
How devastating was that first one you were getting drafted? Where were you, Sandy?
Yeah.
How devastating? You would have been thinking, God almighty.
Yeah, I thought it was over.
That's it. My chance is blown.
I definitely thought it was over, yeah.
What'd you do? I mean, what'd you do? The rehab. Did you sit down and say, my chance is over, I'll just relax, or did you put in, you know, a pretty fierce rehab to get back?
It helped with Sandy Dragons. Told me they wanted to keep me around, so they wanted me around the place. So did a lot of weights, did a lot of training and stuff like that. Put on a fair bit of weight. I was only 85 kilos or something when I was down the Dragons, so I got drafted at 105. Not all of that was good weight, but there was some weight, which was good, and I eventually got drafted, which was good.
What would you have done if you thought, nah, bugger it? I reckon you might backpacker Southeast Asia for a couple of months.
I was currently working at Domino's Pizza, so
oh, were you?
I might have been a delivery driver.
Well,
yeah.
Will you say, would you have gone overseas? Are you a guy who wants to see the world, or are you absolutely focused on football?
I would have made my way overseas at some point if I wasn't playing football, and I definitely will straight after football, but at the moment it's all focused on footy.
So you went 4 games, no games with the knee reco, 13-9, 13 which showed really good hints, and now 5 first-class games this year. How do you describe the breakthrough?
So, yeah, they're very in and out with those 13 and 9 before last year's 13. Now, that 13 and the 5, that's 18 in a row, which is obviously the first time I'm anywhere near that. It was my first pre-season, so I've got to probably put it down to that. I was able to stay on the track, learn the game plan a lot more, get more and more insane to my craft, and went from there.
Are you enjoying it?
I am, and it's definitely better winning. We've had a couple of good wins, a close game against North, and it's more and more enjoyable playing this year.
Where were you as a 15-year-old?
A long way behind. I was at Domino's Pizza, probably having a pizza a shift.
Schooling, out of school or at school?
I was definitely in school, but wasn't going too well. Wasn't tall.
Were you playing footy?
I was playing footy just locally for Ormond.
In the VAFA?
Yep.
Were you really?
When did you grow?
Around year 11, year 12, around that knee, Rico.
Yep.
So where was, seriously, Domino's Pizza, hating school, fat? Did you say you were fat or I said that?
I was close to it.
Righto. You were me, right?
Yeah.
So you're me.
Yeah.
Fat.
Yeah.
Were you thinking to yourself, where's my life going?
A little bit. I suppose when you're 15, you probably
don't care where your life's going, do you?
You're not too goal orientated. Yeah.
Some are.
Yeah, some
are. Some
sure.
AFL footballers have been wanting to be AFL football since they were 10.
Well, Jack Riney had it at a week, I think.
True, we'll get on to Jack in a second. So that transformation through 15, 16, 17, they've proved to be quite magical years.
I definitely learnt a lot, and when I first got to a football club, it's a very professional environment, and I was a long way behind, so I learned a lot in my first couple of years, and slowly getting there.
Did you have to change much? No more pizzas, I would imagine.
Yeah. No more, just vegetarians now.
Is it really?
No pizzas.
No pizzas. How has that been a change for you, to that professionalism of being a player? Do you like a beer? Do you have a beer?
I do. Yeah, I do like a beer. It's very different. No one can predict what AFL is going to be like, and I use the analogy of public school, private school sort of stuff. I mean, there's not many public school boys in the AFL. There's only about 4 or 5 at our club at the moment, and the difference, private schools are brought up with that professional environment.
That's interesting. I've never heard. You only got 5 public school
at our club. Yeah.
Do you go against them? Do you go up and say public's over here, you boys over there?
They'll be laughing at home at the moment that I've brought it up.
Who's in the public group?
Myself, Colin Garland, because there's nothing down in Tasmania, so I don't think there is a private school. Just trying to remember. Neville Jetta.
What's Bug come from?
No, Bug's a public to start, and then he went to Caulfield Grammar.
He got kicked out of the public school, didn't he?
He went and boarded at Caulfield Grammar.
Did he really?
Yeah.
So you have spoken about your determination to be one of the competition's best ruckmen. So who are you measuring yourself against at the moment?
I like to think there's probably a group of 5 or 6 that are right up the top. Goldstein's probably on his own right there at the moment. And then the rest of them all bring different things. Like Nat Nui brings his athleticism. Mumford, he's a train. He just goes in, goes hard. Sandilands, Sam Jacobs, Steph Martin. So there's some guys that are right up there.
When you're going well, what do you bring?
It's a good question. I'm probably more on that Sandlands path. I mean, I've got that pure height, which helps. And Sandlands is also a very, very fit man. He takes marks around the ground, and that's probably the element that I like.
Underestimating your agility?
It's never something that I've put to my name, no.
But, I mean, some ruckmen, and Sam Jacobs, I reckon, was this kind of ruckman, a really good tap ruckman, but not getting around the ground that great. I think it's something that Sam Jacobs has really worked hard on. He's become like an old-fashioned follower. Yeah. And because we haven't seen you on and off, you'd come in and say, who's that bloke? Oh, it's Max Gorman. And we'd see you do stuff. But it was just mainly at the contest rucking, and I think what's really stood out in the last 20 games of your career is your ability to get around the ground and gather the ball, not just be a tap ruckman.
I think that's what comes with a pre-season as well. So I was able to finally get out there and work on my agility and running capacity and stuff like that.
Do you think this team's made the breakthrough?
I like to think so. We've got a long way to go. We've played 3 out of 5 games where we've won, and 4 out of 5 games where we've played our brand of footy. The more we bring our brand of footy and the more we bring that consistent game, that's when we're really going to improve.
Do you like do you accept that you've got a bit of cult hero about you? Or that you are different because of the head, the beard?
Ever since Jack Fitzpatrick left, I had to sort of take the mantle.
He was up there, wasn't he, Jack?
He was right up there with the cult figures. Look, I probably do have it at the moment. I don't help myself. I've got a beard.
Hang around Brunswick Street.
Hang around Brunswick Street, Ackland Street. But there's I reckon there's some guys that are probably going to take it off me, Brayshaw and Petrarca.
Maybe, or we haven't really seen Petrarca. And that's one of the exciting things for people outside the club is that Petrarca's been announced today that he's playing his first game on the weekend.
Yep.
I think all the football want to say, good,
yep.
we want to see this kid. He's a bit bullish, is he, about himself and footy, or is he?
It's been 18 months for him, so he's had to go the long way, like it was said before. He's a different character, and football brings all different characters together.
That's what we want, don't we?
Which is great, and I'm sure you'll hear him from due course. I mean, you've already heard from him, he tweets every day, but you'll hear from him in due course, and everyone will take their opinion from him there.
What did you think of Bug waving the finger at the crowd?
I didn't mind it. It showed who Buggy is. Buggy brings this guy who's so ferocious at the ball and at the contest and loves every single contest, and it just showed a little bit of him.
Right, what did you think when he pushed over and injured Jack Rewell?
I honestly personally didn't see it, but I've seen it. I've heard about it since. I don't think it's a good look for the game. Buggy came out and apologised.
Oh, yeah, he did. He did the right thing.
Yeah,
he did the right thing.
You've got St Kilda at Etihad, and you did win the game there late last year. I think the last round of last year, after whatever it was, 22 losses in a row dating back to 2008. Is that sorted? Does one win fix that up? Because the team had been atrocious at the ground.
We've got, for a team that's been bad for so many years, we do have a lot of hoodoos we have to break, and the Etihad Stadium was one, and we also won the NAB game there against St Kilda earlier this year. So
that was a really good win.
Yeah, so we've won our last two games there. We're playing some good footy there. We've also got a bad hoodoo against St Kilda. We haven't won against them since 2008 or something like that, so there's a couple of things we've still got to get done.
To be sorted.
How many Brownlow medal votes you reckon you got? First of all, how many do you reckon Jack's got?
Well, Jack's definitely got the last two, I think.
I agree with that.
I think he's played super. I'm not sure how he went against GWS. I think Watsy might have got the 3 in that.
He might have. He was pretty good.
Yeah.
How are you travelling, you reckon? Couple of seconds then?
Maybe a couple ones. I don't know. Who knows?
You in a suit, go to the Brownlow? You expecting that you'll be going this year?
Yeah, I'll be the one standing out. I'm guessing I'll be wearing something different. Hopefully not a white suit though.
The last question is one from home. Why the beard?
Probably that I'm very. I like to be seen as different. So the beard's there. I'm playing some good footy with the beard. I'm staying injury free with the beard, so it's there at the moment.
All right. You got something for Robbo on the way out?
Yeah, we do have New Balance. Have got some runners.
Runners?
They're not sandals, unfortunately, Robbo.
How do you know I wear sandals?
I just got worded up from the guys upstairs.
You're giving me runners?
Yeah. So hopefully drop a couple of kegs.
That'll be.
I don't need to drop a couple of kegs, Fatso.
It's like me when I was 16. So New Balance is supporting the Race to Renew membership campaign.
Really?
The next 1,000 members that sign up get a $75 voucher, and anyone who's already a member can get 70% off any New Balance product.
And turn up to the game on Saturday. It's going to be a cracker.
Etihad Stadium, we struggle to get people there. It'll be good.
Great to meet you.
Thank
the
you.
very best of luck. May it continue on.
Thanks, guys.
Max Gawn with us on AFL 360. Next, we turn our attention to King and McClure and get them to run the rule over matters as they see them in the AFL right now.
Back inside to Moore, just outside 50. And the big American's taken the mark, 25 out, straight in front.
He comes in, and he puts it through. What a start! What a start for big Mason Cox, and they go to him. Slid the handball back to Moore. Moore goes low, Moore in the front. Cox has taken the mark. Big Mace on the chest.
Jared, you couldn't have written the script any better, could you?
There's probably one step to go, David.
Wasn't the truth?
The giant American on Anzac Day, no less, with his first kick. It's a goal. Now there's a unique moment.
Mason Cox, the start of his AFL career. Mark McClure, welcome.
Jared, how you going?
David King, hello.
G'day, boys.
You sat down with him today?
Yeah, he's a ripper. He's a great conversation. He just sits there and tells you about his experiences, and I think that He's been very positive for the footy club, I think. He's one of those guys you'd love to have in your locker room, you know, always got a story, always got a smile, and you can see why he's been selected, and he's really enjoying himself.
Humble?
Very humble. I think he's just seeing every minute as a bonus, and he just can't believe the ride, and nor should you. It's been unbelievable, hasn't it?
It's good fun, isn't it?
Fantastic. I mean, actually dropping Cloak and putting this guy in, giving him a bit of a leash of life, really, when you think about it. They played with a bit of freedom, a bit of passion. They were very good the other day, but they got to play West Coast this week, so it'll be interesting to see if they come up again.
All right, from our conversation at the start of the show, if Essendon does reassemble the old with the new, does it have the capacity to be a top 4 team next year?
Well, that must be their thinking, Jared, to re-sign like they are. Because if that's not, take the emotion out of it, okay? Take the emotion out of it. And I know, Robbo, you'll say you can't take the emotion out. I get that. It's a footy club at heart. But they must think that if they can get that group back together, they're ready to contend. Because effectively you're giving up. Let's say they win the spoon, pick 2. We went through all that a couple of weeks ago. So they're making a decision that, no, the group we get back are ready to set sail for their next premiership. If not, what are you doing?
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. They believe that. I honestly believe that. 27, Hooker, 25, Hurley, Heppel, Watson's 30 plus. They believe, and just with the kids coming in this year, Parrish, Fantasia, they just think they've got a group. And whether the emotion plays a part, Kingy, and you've been in football clubs, emotions do play a part in football clubs. They that's the
decision, though, isn't it? That's the gamble, though, isn't it, Self?
They might get it right, they may get it wrong. But before that, they didn't sort of impress me that they're going to be a premiership side prior to that deal. So that's up to them, though. That's not my call. That's their call.
I know, but you've got to take
they live and die by it.
You've got to take into consideration the 3 years, what they've played under, the conditions mentally.
Yeah, well,
I mean, we see players
all the time. You've got to take into consideration what they're passing up.
Correct.
You're talking about elite juniors. In an era where we haven't had the ability to go to the draft, really, with the 2 new franchises, they would have had almost a new franchise type look at the draft for 2 years.
You put up a reasonable argument.
It's a gamble.
Yeah, you put up a reasonable argument, mate.
It's not our decision, it's theirs, and we accept that.
And the game's changed in the last 12 months. Again, this year, it's changed again. Did they have the right side for this game? Freo don't. Freo don't. Does Essendon have the right side?
We'll find out, won't we?
We will.
Just drill into what you saw on the weekend. So you were at the SCG.
Yeah,
you saw
West Coast
who disappointed, and Sydney who, they thrilled.
Well, Sydney test you. They bruise you. They're the most contested side, and they really test you. See if you've got some mettle. If you're tough enough to play in finals, you go well against Sydney. But if you're not, you don't. And it's actually their last 5 times they've played interstate. They've lost every time. They've won 9 against top 8 sides. The last 9 times they've played, they've lost 8 times. They've won 1 out of the last 9 against top 8 sides.
It's very concerning, isn't it?
It's on the road or
on the road?
Away, when they're away. So that's the key. And they can't. If they stand up there and they played in a wet game, it was a bit adverse. It was sort of unusual. They didn't do it. They didn't get their body in line. They didn't have flat hands. You can see they're the last 5 that they've played. But there's 2 Hawthorn ones.
Not many have beaten Hawthorn.
No, well, no one beats Hawthorn. But you've got to beat them at the MCG too if you're going to win one.
Yeah.
So you want to be. I'm talking about the top 8, the whole top 8. They've played and
since admitted that after the game, we've got to fix ourselves on the road.
They're terrible on the road. They're terrible on the road, and they played poorly, and they didn't get their body in line. They didn't flatten their hands. It was adverse. Their forward line was a mess. I know that ground can mix you upside down sometimes because it's a short, stocky sort of ground, but they were just terrible.
What about
Sydney were fantastic.
What about that other mob?
Well, they were fantastic.
You love Papley.
I do love Papley, and I thought that they were just tremendous. Their youth has just really helped them. That Papley's come in and...
This kid's a star.
Oh, yeah, Mills is a beauty and Robinson's good.
How much courage Mills has got.
Hewitt's a very good player. And they're all first-year players. Without Heaney, Heaney's probably 2-year player, but they're all first-year players, these kids. Their first 4 games.
Papley's the bonus.
Unbelievable
you have to
player.
get them out of the rookies to add to what you get in your normal picks.
Forward pocket plumber. Sheeds would hate that. He's a back pocket plumber. But I'll tell you what, his start to the game, he made about 6 errors with his first 6 touches, and I thought, the kid's in a bit of trouble today. But he just kept getting the footy, and he corrected a really poor game into a really strong game, and I think that's a really good sign. To be able to do that in game.
I tell you, you might. I know you're not underestimating him because we all we all admire Isaac Kenny. Mills is so courageous in the air, Sellers.
Yeah,
he goes with the flight all the time and takes one. He's a one grabber. Well, so they got one up each end.
But we've heard about Mills. He's a pretty strong kid, 17 or 18 years of age.
He's played 4 games of footy.
I know, but he's a pretty strong-minded kid we hear, and he's sort of a leader of the place down the
It's
back
an
line.
academy-corrected reinvention.
Academy-corrected reinvention. Good call.
Those two boys. Carlton take the first step under Brendan Bolton.
They were great, weren't they? I mean, look, I think we didn't know what to expect. Look, it was a really poor game. You've got to say that. The standard of the game was in real trouble there for a while, but I just think the coaching gave them a system that forced Fremantle to play a way they didn't want to play. And they won the arm wrestle of dictating terms in the game. And in the end, that's what won it for them. 8 of 10 goals through the Carlton press, getting the ball in their forward line, locking it in. And then the leadership kicked in. And we don't often talk about Murphy, Gibbs, Simpson and Cripps, who we know is a bona fide star. You know, they were inspiring while still mentoring and educating this young group. And I think that's sometimes we forget that. They know that they're not there to win flags at the moment. That's a tough mental battle to know that, okay, we're going to play most games and we're going to be up against it. But they were in the fight, and then the leader said, I'll get you over the line. Gibbs' goal was huge. They were 4 points up at that stage. They'd been headed. They were 4 points down, 16 minutes into the last quarter. Now, a young team on the road, all the things you said about West Coast, could have kicked in there. They could have just turned the toes up, and everyone would have said, good battle, well done, little tick, walk on. But they didn't. They fought it out, and I thought that was a great effort.
I loved it. I sat at home and watched it, and I was sort of like, you can't make this many mistakes and win. But both sides were bad in that area. But still, they hung in there. It's a bit of reward for some work that they've done. They've just got to do it again this week against Essendon. Some sides who are young win, and then they drop off. They can't do that.
That's every different challenge. They play with such a different freedom under Bolton than they did under Malthouse. And they were scared to make mistakes last year. This year they're making them all the time. But they're just coming back. They're fighting back from it.
They're just having a go. That's all they're doing. The opposition are different. They look like they are worn out to me, Fremantle. They look like they are seriously. I know their skill level was poor, Dave. We watched it, but they look to me as though they've been just beaten to a pulp. They've had enough. They've had 5 or 6 years of this same old stuff, and it hasn't worked for them. The actual plan that they used before with Ross, the slow play plan didn't work. Now they've gone to a fast play plan, doesn't work, and they look beaten to me in the mind. And that's how they play.
Quick thought, King, because I want to get to Friday night. Where are you with Freo?
Oh, look, everything you said about Sydney, they haven't had. They don't have an academy correcting them. They don't have Mills and Heaney in that side. Yeah, so they've been a victim of their success over the last few years, and it's come crashing down quicker than what everyone thought. They won 17 home and away games last year. They're zip 5 now. You couldn't have seen that coming, really, let's be honest. They maybe saw some problems this year, changed the system. If it worked, great, they're in the hunt. And if it didn't, okay, at some point we make a decision to correct it. That's why they signed Ross for the extended period. There's no sugarcoating. They probably had a hint that this may come.
Okay. Equalisation, mate. They had one top 20 draft pick, Fremantle.
Yep.
And Rossi said Jerry West had 30.
North and the Bulldogs.
Have a look at the midfield, Jared. Yeah, have a look at the midfield. I think it's going to come down to the contested ball on Friday night. We know that. 2 tough teams. Western Bulldogs are going to plus 33 on their opponents, and that's where they're winning it. But have a look at the time spent in the midfield, and these are amazing numbers. They are spinning the magnets. The most that anyone's played in the midfield this year is Lockie Hunter at 65% midfield time. When you look around the competition, I'll just give you a couple of names. Sydney got Hanbury 93%, Kennedy 87%, Parker 80%. Gibson at the Kangaroos, 98%. Swallow, 95%. Cunnington, 87%. Lewis at Hawthorn, 90%. Mitchell, 87%. Viney, 96%. They're not doing that at the Dogs. It's all by design. They're trusting them all. Now, those contested numbers, with that sort of movement, they're basically picking 16 midfielders. A ruckman, a centre-half back, let's go. And it's having a magnificent effect on the footy club. And I think anyone that says, oh, they're down Bob Murphy, they're in trouble, or they're down Joe Hannison, they're in trouble, is miles off seeing what these guys are actually doing.
How are they going to control Petrie, Waite and Brown? That's going to be one of their big deals with their defence.
Same as they've done every week. Their defence is not only the best in the comp, it's the best by about 30 points on average. I mean, I think they're conceding about 55 points a game at Etihad. So they do it by restricting opportunity, not necessarily man on man.
You wouldn't want to not tackle in that team or apply pressure.
Be a great game.
Because you won't get in the loop. That loop, it's a great graphic, that Kingy. A really good graphic. Lockie Hunter, people wouldn't know him if he walked in the door. And he's the number one time in the midfield player.
We're out of time. I don't like to tell tales out of school, but can you tell me what's the post-game Wednesday night? Because this is great.
Very funny. And the big man, he gives you a lot of enjoyment, a lot of entertainment.
What's that
the
for?
Winners is on after this.
Yep.
And every week we go out and watch. And generally it's a Carlton game.
Yes.
And Sellers gets his phone out and he rings whoever's not getting a kick and says, hey, it was Buckley's turn last week. Jimmy, you're not getting a kick. Put it on now, 5:04.
So 30 years on, he's still providing feedback.
He wasn't at home.
Very funny.
It's unusual for Jimmy not to be at home, so he wasn't home watching, thank God.
We'll see you for the Winners in about 15 minutes' time. Mark McClure and David Sheep.
That's unfair, you know that.
The Bomber
You were a bit
Diaries
dirty
is
about
next.
your stuff last night.
For some silly reason, you people want to assassinate him, and it's just rubbish. You people. All of you. All of you. I'm going to crack jokes all year, mate. I'm going to do it. I did it. Goddard was a good call. I don't know whose idea it was. It was mine. I didn't have a snooze, and I wanted to have a snooze. I don't know what to say, really.
What will Dangerfield do to Geelong?
I could start Mark. Sellers wouldn't have any players playing in his team if he was coach.
Drop them all.
He'll drop them all. He's had a busted knacker this year, hasn't he? When you lose, it smells like poo. And everyone's like, hey, boy! Oh.
Where are you looking?
Well, you asking that question to me?
The Bomber Diaries for round 6. Bomber, welcome.
Hey, Jared. Robert.
Hello, Mark.
Robbo.
Hello, Mark.
Good start.
That is a good start. Good to see you. What does Cale Hooker's signature mean for Essendon?
I think it's a big lift for the club, generally. Yeah, I think it's great for the supporters, great for him, obviously, because he's got a 5-year contract, and he's just a quality person, quality player, so he deserves it.
Can he be the best defender in the competition?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that, and who's he up against? Like, is it Hurley? Is it Scotty Thompson? Is it Davis? Is it...
Well, Hurley, I tell you what, that's Davis from GWS.
Rance.
Right now, Davis and Rance, I believe, are the two best key defenders in the comp. So
he's up there, isn't he?
Hooker's in that group.
He did make All-Australian centre-half back in 14, yeah.
One of the best.
What's so good about
15.
him?
He's a pro. He's got a good body, good running ability, and he...
Not when he was chasing Lance Franklin.
Well, who would be that night?
It was just funny, though, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
but he can intercept the ball off the opposition kicks. He reads the play well.
They're gold, aren't they, the interceptors?
People can mark the ball. He's a very, very good mark. Like, he's one of the better marks in the competition.
Mad Max is on Fox at the moment. Could be the last of the V8 interceptors.
Mad Max.
Do you watch that show?
Max Rourke?
No. I don't know what Max's surname is. Do you know what Mad Max's surname is?
I'd be shocked if he had one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Have you ever seen Mad Max?
Yeah, I've seen it.
When he says this is the last of the V8 interceptors.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You haven't seen Mad Max?
I have, but I can't remember that scene.
Can
you remember it?
Yeah, when he goes in, that's the guy's got the wrench.
You know well.
The strange-looking mechanic dude.
We've run aground.
No, we haven't.
Where's this going tonight?
How many... You know Hooker's personality, his popularity with the club. Do you think him signing will encourage others to say, you know what? Yeah, I'm getting on board.
It may, but it's like an individual basis, isn't it? I think some players are, like Carl, for him to sign, he must have been pretty happy with that, that comfortable with Essendon playing there for the rest of his career. There might be some that might be thinking, well, the 4 years they've given me, I'm not sure whether I really want to be at the club. I don't know any individuals who've said that. I'm just saying that I don't think it'll be the just because Cale signed. I don't think it's going to set a pattern.
Do you still talk to the players? Do you still know the players you coached, or have they moved on and you moved on? It's just not happening.
Yeah.
Is that sad or not?
No. I'll get back. I sort of haven't been contacting anyone really. Just the less you talk about it, the better. The only time in the week I get to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, you must look forward to every Wednesday night bringing it up with
Well,
something.
I tell people it's the best time of the week. But
All right, broader
talking about
questions. Has Melbourne made the breakthrough? Have the Demons made the breakthrough, Bomber?
They've won 2 in a row. They've beaten Collingwood, Richmond, and they beat someone, GWS. Yeah, and a kick away from North Melbourne down in Tassie.
Good
it
effort.
Could be 4-1. Very unlucky not to be.
And if they
I think they have turned. I think they've just got a better balance in their game of football now. More attack. Remember the first year with Roosie, they were just so slow, and now they've just slowly just got it faster.
First 2 years. But he dropped the defensive side by about 35 points in that first year. Like giving up 110.
They look like a different team. They look confident and look like they're enjoying their football again.
A lot of people say that, Jared and Bomber, it looks like they enjoy their football. In your time as coaching and being involved, enjoying their football, how much does that help?
Helps a lot. And when you lose, you naturally haven't got that. Like it's always a downer, and it's a little bit. Well, what's going to happen?
What about the style of football you play?
It's got to be enjoyable. It's a game. It's a game of footy, and it's got to be more than fun when you're playing a game, because it is a game. You know, if it's a normal job you got, in an office at a computer for 8 hours a day, don't enjoy that much. We've got an opportunity to play this game and that's what they call work. So. They should be. Every coach should make an effort to get their boys to enjoy it.
You stress this because when 0506 West Coast of Sydney were slogging it out, and I didn't mind that football, and then you come along with this brand of football, you and your assistant coaches down there, it transformed football, and it made football. Not saying that wasn't fun.
People like watching us play.
It made fun.
Yeah.
It made us laugh and smile.
And I would have enjoyed playing that sort of footy if you're a player.
If you were quick enough.
Oh, please.
One of those assistants was Ken Hinkley. What does Kenny do now at Port?
Oh, Kenny's not sure, because they're not scoring as much. Their marks are down, which means and their possessions are down. Their injuries are about the same, above competition. They're just I don't know. They've got the 17th best defence, okay? And with Kenny, he's an attacking coach. We love their attacking play, their flair, their ability just to score goals. They're not scoring goals, they're letting the opposition score. So he's got some big problems as far as... if I was Kenny, I'd just smash him with defence. Say, look, we're going to if they're going to beat us, they're going to beat us only kicking 60 points, not 110, 120.
Does that go against his grain as a coach?
Yeah, but it's...
But he has to go against.
He has to, because he can't have that
discrepancy
between the attack and defence.
So you're telling us now that Ken Hinkley has to change his fundamentals of what he believes how the game should be played now.
If they're winning the ball more, that means that defence is looked after anyway. And that's what I think he goes to some of those players. They just go to win the ball.
All right.
Is that it now? Give me the Hevo.
Max Rokotansky.
Who's he?
Mad
Max
Rokotansky.
Rokotansky?
I didn't know that.
Either did I.
Bomber.
Is that stage name?
Nice to see you.
Go home, watch it. Last of the VA Interceptors.
Okay, Mark, I will.
Coming up next, the winners rebooted. Tonight's guests, Peter Curran and Terry Danaher. And Carlton teammates of 30 years ago. Just keep your phones close. On Wednesday nights, AFL 360 teams with Twitter to provide the most tweeted moments of the round. And from round 5 at number 3, the moment that went global, American Mason Cox with his first kick in footy on Anzac Day.
I blocked 2 of them.
There's nothing like a moment of spite to really get things going on Twitter. Alex Rance certainly provided that with that high shot on Jack Watts. The condemnation rolled in from all corners a couple of weeks at the match review panel. The most tweeted about moments, the classic finish. Brings it out every time. It gets the pulses racing, the keyboards smoking. Hawthorn again.
Oh, Adelaide people going berserk. Well, what Fitzy? Shattered. Boys deserve to win that, wouldn't you, Fitzy?
The most tweeted about moments of the round just gone. Tomorrow night, Heath Shaw joins our regulars, Dyson Heppel and Brian Lake. So we talked to the Giants before they play Hawthorn. Timing's perfect. Happy?
Oh, we're still at 10. I thought you were signing off. Yes, of course I'm signing off. No, of course I'm happy.
Winners Rebooters up next. See you then.
Everyone.
Fox Footy production, part of the Fox Sports Network.